man.
How's it feel to be a winner again?
Feels good. It beats losing at the end of the year.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm just waiting. Doug's getting ready to join us.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Have you had time to process it yet, finally?
Man, not really. It's like we had helmet reconditioning today and, locker room clean out on Wednesday and, got with the seniors on Tuesday, started talking about reins. And so maybe this weekend things slow down a little bit. I can kind of rest a little bit, but it's been crazy as ever.
I bet it is. Now, you're halfway to the mark that Haddix is at now, though, man. It's actually I know you're not trying to turn it into like competition, what
Right.
have you. 2 in a row. I mean, it's hard enough to win one.
That's right. Yeah.
Once you start winning them consecutively and continuously, I mean, that's impressive all in itself.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good group of young men.
Definitely. Now, how many seniors did y'all have this year?
We had 13 on like a 55-man roster. So we got some really good pieces coming back.
Yeah.
So,
how many juniors?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know if I know that off the top of my head. I mean, we're usually each class is usually right around 10, give or take. So I'd say we're probably somewhere between 10 and 15 juniors. But we had I think most of our secondary is back. Most of our linebacking core is back. We got to replace the D line. We got to replace really 2 guys up front on the offensive line, and the quarterback. Obviously, that's a huge deal, losing Cole. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of talented receivers coming back, and so all the running backs are back. So we'll be competitive again. We'll see. Time will tell how competitive, but I don't think we're gonna fall off the table.
Yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon, at least. And for the foreseeable future, that is. What about, like, you were just talking about Cole? Let's talk on that right now before Doug joins. What's it looking like for you being a former quarterback and then having Chris Redmond there with you, also a former quarterback? What's it like for you guys with the other quarterbacks that you have currently before incoming freshmen come?
Yeah, so we, it's nice being a K through 12 campus, right? Because there's no trying to go out and find out who your freshman class is going to be, right? Who your freshman class is going to be because they've been here, most of them, since kindergarten. You got to watch them play on the 7th and 8th grade team. And so we have our middle school quarterback is, he'll start off-season stuff with us in January. Our middle school and high school and elementary school are all connected. So that's great for our guys that are incoming freshmen, that they're already here and they can already start, lifting with the high school football team and meeting with coaches and doing individual drills. And then with our guys, we really just have one, Colin Daniels, that's a true quarterback. It's working with him and getting him ready for competing for that position and taking every advantage to work on footwork, to work on mechanics, to work on learning the playbook and understanding defenses, defensive coverages. So it's the most important position. There's no doubt about it. And we try to spend all year. Obviously, a lot of those guys, a lot of our quarterbacks are multi-sport guys, but when they're not playing basketball or they're not running track or whatever they may be doing, we're working on football and getting them ready for the season. And that's a little bit of the burden of that position.
Definitely. Now, I'm going to get on that multi-sport thing before we continue. Can you hear me, Doug?
Yeah, can you hear me?
There he
is.
What's
up, buddy?
How's it going?
What's up, dog?
Nothing much, man. Just glad to be here.
All right. So this question is going to be for you and Hunter, because we were just talking, I'm sure you heard that, about the multi-sport athlete thing. Now, like I said, you guys, this question's for both of y'all. What do you all feel about the multi-sport thing? A lot of coaches are against that type of thing, but I guess with the day and age and the times that we're in, a lot of people are starting to see the benefits of football players being multi-sport athletes. What's your all's thoughts and insights on that?
Take it away, Doug.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, being a multi-sport player, it was certain things that I know that it helped me as I was transitioning through multiple sports. Say like I went to basketball, it kind of got me a different level of like quickness getting up and down court. And then I was also a track runner, which helped me when it came to um, just staying in shape for the football ring. However, I will say, the evolution of the game has changed. And I don't mind kids doing multi sports, but at the same time, I would say, if you know that, hey, you're going to be a college football player, your aspiration is to maybe go to one sport for college, or you see yourself long term, maybe the pros, and I would start like, hey, how can I implement this sport, or how can I make sure my workouts I don't lose anything by doing another sport. And I think sometimes kids do kind of lose sight of that of, oh, well, I like playing basketball, but is basketball really going to help you in the off season? Kind of like what Hunter was talking about, just doing off season workout. Like that's a time where you are getting stronger, you're getting physical, and
Yeah.
you are also learning our offense to play fast when it comes to the season. So missing out on that time sometimes can hinder kids. So I think it's good. I do enjoy seeing kids in the multi sports, but at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, I also think sometimes is it worth you? Now, I will say from a college standpoint, I have seen college coaches enjoy seeing players that play multi sport. I remember seeing Ezekiel Elliott. They talked about how Urban Meyer loved watching him play basketball. He was a good basketball player, and they said, because he played multi sport, Urban Meyer enjoyed that. So I definitely think there's pros and also cons. Just seeing how the game has evolved over time. And that's something that I think for us in our program, I feel like, Hunter's done a phenomenal offseason workout, to where kids are getting better for football during that time.
Hunter, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think to echo what Doug said, and I'll just share something personally. I played football and I ran track at Tillman. Tillman's got a very prestigious track program, plethora of state championships, and played baseball. And after my sophomore year, I knew I had a chance to play Division I football at the quarterback position, and so my focus year round was making sure that I was improving as a football player while still participating in other sports.
Yeah.
So, for instance, right, um, I was a football player playing baseball and enjoying high school baseball. I would, if I had a game that evening and I was pitching, I'd still be in the weight room. And people are like, well, doesn't that hurt your performance on the diamond? And yeah, it did a little bit. Instead of maybe pitching 7 innings, I pitched 5, right? Because of lifting and that emphasis on being, growing football year round.
Yeah.
So there was an emphasis, there was a priority sport year round, but that didn't prevent me from being a multi-sport athlete. That didn't prevent me from running track. I played basketball my freshman and sophomore years. That didn't prevent me from playing basketball. But I didn't let one sport completely take away from what my focus was. And so we want our guys to be multi-sport athletes. High school's precious. Doug can tell you as well, like even if you play Division I football and you play in the NFL, like it's still a blink of an eye, right? And you don't want to look back and be like, man, I wish I would have played basketball. I wish I would have ran track. Or I wish I would have played football, right? I don't think you should ever let a coach tell you you got to focus on one thing, because high school is so precious and it's so short. And even if you do make the highest level, that's going to be a blink of an eye. And you don't want to look back on your athletic career as a whole with regrets. But I do think, as young men transition from their sophomore to junior seasons, and there's probably starting to get a good idea on, okay, I love playing all these sports, but this might be the sport where my future is. I would say the same thing for a young man on our team that's maybe got a chance to play college basketball. I don't want him quitting football, even though he's got a future in basketball. Now, if he shows, if he's not around in June because he's doing AAU, then that's that emphasis we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Play it, but have your emphasis and make sure that you're improving in that sport that might pay for your schooling, pay for your college. So I think that's the big thing. That's one thing that we really just want to help parents with is play it all, enjoy it all. High school athletics is a short and precious time. But when you know where that emphasis is,
Yeah.
then there's a little bit of sacrifice to make sure that that emphasis is being taken care of.
Me, before we get into other stuff, especially going and transitioning from high school to college, I'll use this prime example of Santana Moss. Santana, they didn't have a scholarship for him for football. So he went and played another sport, got his education paid for running track, and was able to play the sport he really was there for, which was football. So like multi-sport athletes, there's ways where you can finagle on stuff like that when you get to the college level.
Yep.
I'm going to start with you, Hunter, first on this, and then we'll go to Doug. At what point in the season did you know you had like something special? Because I know y'all dominate a lot of your teams, but there was times when you kind of had a little bit of stuff going on. At what point did you know this was it? Y'all could do back to back.
Yeah.
What victory gave you that?
Yeah, so it was a process, I think, for our team, and I know Doug will echo this as well. We lost to LCA, and I was pretty frustrated with that loss. Not that we lost; losses happen, and LCA is a great football team, a lot of great football players, very well coached. I felt like we got bullied. I felt like we weren't very, and it really in all three phases, and so we really put an emphasis going into the Ryle game of like, hey, for us to be the team that we want to be, we've got to change our approach. We've got to change our physicality and our mindset. And we hammered that all week with our guys. And man, we came out and played Ryle, and we were even softer against Ryle than we were against LCA. And we were lucky to beat Ryle. We had a couple key guys step up and make plays, and their quarterback was banged up, and so they weren't at full strength. So just extremely frustrated. I think that's probably the hardest that week going into the manual game. I think that's probably the hardest I've ever been on a football team. But it was so frustrating to see all the pieces in place, but the mindset and the physicality not there, right? Things that we can control. I can't control how fast you run, can't control how skilled you are. I can't control, ultimately how strong you are, but like, you can give great effort. You can learn to play physical, violent football. And it was just was a little down, a little disheartened going into the manual game. We were able to beat Manual, and that was the first time I saw flashes. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch, and but the toughness piece, the physicality piece, that was the first time that our guys had responded to what the coaches had been giving them. And I came away from that game, and I thought, man, if this can continue on the path that it's on now, we're going to be really dangerous. And I think by the time we got into the playoffs, we were a physical, tough football team, and the scores really started to reflect that. And but it was really a process from that LCA game all the way to that Manual game, and those first flashes of guys playing tough and being physical and not getting bullied. That we said, this team can win a state championship.
All right, Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it kind of even went back to the summer, I think, and then fast forward to the season. But going back to the summer, we did 7-on-7, and I think it was one of those things where we were fortunate to go. What is it?
Is it down in Alabama? That
yes.
one?
So we was fortunate to go down there Hoover, and I remember going down there, and Hunter can attest to it too. And we played our first game, and our team just got rocked. Like people would seem like they were scared. They were like, "Oh my God, it's so much speed."
That cheesy Hunter just gave says it all.
Yeah, he saw it. We all saw. We was like, "Oh my God, we might not win a game down here." But to see the kids like take ownership in a sense of like, "Hey, we didn't play well at all," and then just turn that around, and from then on, like we just kept winning, and we kept winning to a point. Hey, we say we probably was about third in the league out of all the teams. We like went to the semifinals and lost. How many?
I hold that thought. How many teams come to? I really don't know.
Yeah, there's 32 national teams that are invited. So I mean, Oklahoma to Florida to Louisiana to Missouri. I mean, all over the Southeast. It's the top. Yeah. Everybody was a state champion. in their class, and so phenomenal football. From the pool play, they break it up into 2 brackets. So they have like a gold bracket where you've got to win your pool to go to the gold bracket, and then you've got a silver bracket, and that means maybe you haven't been as effective in the pool play. And so, just I'll let Doug continue, but we were able, out of the 32 teams, we were able to win our pool and advance to the gold bracket, and then go all the way to the semifinal, eventually losing to the overall champion. So out of 32 teams, we finished third.
Yeah, and that was the thing. And what was even neat about that is like the team that we got blown out by during pool play, we played them again in a tournament, and they didn't even score on us the second time. So it just showed how we dealt with adversity and then just move forward. And that's where it kind of just stood out. Like, we are, like, from a skill perspective, we got a good chance to go all the way this year. And we knew that going into the season, it was going to be a tougher schedule, playing a lot of more 6A teams, a lot bigger teams. And then on top of that, like, our rivalry teams is like LCA. And like Hunter said, I mean, LCA just was like, we kind of got exposed a little bit. And based on that, we realized, hey, we got to be a little bit harder on the team, a little bit harder on the fellas, just to let them know that you guys can compete with anybody. You was in Hoover in the summer competing with the top talent in the nation. Yeah. You can compete with anybody. And that kind of, like he said, when we got the manual and then we looked up, we were up 42-7 at halftime. It was just like, wow, this team's good. This team could be really good. And that kind of, they made a run in the second half, and, but we kept scoring, and we had a big win there. But it just showed that, our team can, take on anybody. They can kind of get that, take on the coaching abilities and just be able to overcome. And then from there, once we got to the playoffs, like Hunter said, it was just kind of, I think when we played Central the first time, we won 13-6, but the second time when we just flat out dominated, it was like, I don't see anybody stopping us at that time.
Like, me personally, I'll go to Central before we get into other stuff. Like, I didn't see. I'm not surprised you guys won. I'm surprised in that of which the manner you guys won in. Like you were just saying, Doug, 13-6 was a close game. That was a great defensive battle, making key stops in that first matchup. Going into it, Central had been playing a lot better. And going into the later part of the season, you guys have been picked up after that loss. 9 out of 10 people would not say that they expected that kind of outcome. I'll go with you first, Doug, and then we'll go to Hunter with this. What do you think, Doug, in your eyes and mind, what did you guys do different between the first time you guys played them into the last time? Like, I'm just amazed by how much y'all beat them down, truly.
I'll say, I give kudos to Hunter. I think the thing that kind of separates us, and don't get me wrong, Central has a great coaching staff, great kids. And like you said, they were playing top ball all year. So it was definitely, a great team. But I think after that win, Hunter immediately said, hey, we're gonna play them again in the playoffs. He knew that, hey, we was gonna play them. So from then on, we knew, hey, we got to prepare. And, that was 4 weeks out, that here we are already putting in plans to play Central again. And it kind of showed that our game plan was going to be better going into that game. And I think that plays a lot when it comes to high school sports. When you have a coaching staff, like ours, just that ability to study and analyze and already think ahead, I think it goes a long way. And that was something that, Hunter instilled in us. And we was already watching film on Central, watching some of the things that we can do differently. I was already like teaching some of the my receivers, like, hey, some techniques, because they were mostly the only team that like would get up and press us or have a certain type of technique. So we was already planning that in practice. And I think when it got to that point, we knew, hey, we were going to be at least try to be the most prepared team on the field, and it showed that game. And that's where I think our kids really took that, and with that, it helped us out. As you see the score, I mean, it was just like, hey, it was a different game than the first game, and that was something, like I said, I give kudos to Hunter because he definitely helped us see that.
Go ahead, Hunter.
Yeah. So just to echo what Doug's saying, just such a phenomenal coaching staff and group of men to coach with, and we knew we were going to see Central again, and so we kind of had a run of opponents that we felt like we could focus on them, but we could focus on Central. And I'm sure that's nothing unique, and there's coaching staffs that do that all over the state. And I mean, Central might have been doing that, with us. So I don't want to make us sound like that was something that's never been done before, but it was definitely a focus because we knew we were going to see them and see them early. And I'll just say we just have such a great group of young men that bought into the plan and had confidence and had really grown and blossomed, over the course of the year. And in a game like that, Central's a really good football team, and the ball bounced our way a couple times. The turnovers and special teams, we were able to capitalize on that, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And so, easily could have been another battle. Like I said, really impressed with Coach Dantzler and what he does and the group that they have over there. And sometimes that happens in high school football, right? And we put a big emphasis on being better in special teams. And hats off to Coach Hilliard and the rest of our staff. We kind of decided what we wanted to do in special teams. We felt like there was an edge there to be had, and we were able to block a punt early, or I can't remember if it was a block punt, and we were able to tackle their punter, but we were able to get the ball, right away, deep into their territory and capitalize. And from there, the momentum swung, and this is a game of momentum. And so, yeah, I mean, it's high school football. It's 16, 17-year-old kids. I think there were two really good staffs on both sidelines. But just a couple key plays that we were able to make, and the momentum swung, and it kind of got out of hand from there. But they could have easily gone the other way. They have the capability, the coaches, the players, to do that as well. And so, just kind of one of those things that perfect storm. And our defensive coordinator, Coach Riley, he always says, and this was his 11th state championship. He's got 7. He had 7 at Trinity, and now he's got 4 at Cal. So he's done it, quite a bit and very seasoned. And he'll tell you, he's like, hey, I don't care how good a football team you are. I don't care what your road is. Like, to win a state championship, the ball's got to bounce your way. And that's true. And in a game like Central, the ball just bounced our way, and to our guys' credit, they took advantage of it.
Definitely. I'm going to ask a couple more questions with high school before we get into Louisville, your guys' alma mater. What's your guys' take on, because there's always a lot of chatter with what I'm about to say, but your guys' take on how schools like Cal should move up in class and stuff like that? For the dodo head there, people don't realize you're not classified by talent. You're classified by school size and student body. But, like, if you guys constantly play 6A teams like that, like you all just mentioned, like, and you're proving what you guys can do you even really think, hypothetically, it's necessary to move up in class? Hunter, go with you first.
Yeah, so a lot to say about that. First off, they're one of the things I hear all the time is that private school kids get scholarships, and that's not the case
for private school students. Trust me, yeah.
If you're at Cal, you're paying some form of tuition, and for a lot of our young men, and it frustrates me because I see our families and the sacrifice that they make and the squeeze that it is on them for however long they're here at Cal, and for somebody to say like, well, it's just an easy ride and the school's taking care of you every step of the way. That's not the case, and that is downplaying our families' sacrifice for Christian education for this athletic program. And so so proud of our families and humbled that they would take that financial burden on to be a part of our program. I think our program is really, I think our sweet spot is 50 to 60 young men on our football team, 9th through 12th grade. We don't have a freshman team with a freshman staff. We don't have a JV team with a JV staff and a varsity with a varsity staff. If you're a wide receiver and you come to Cal, you're going to get coached by Doug Beaumont all 4 years. Doug obviously needs no introduction, but Mr. Football in high school, phenomenal player at the University of Louisville, and then had an opportunity to play in the national.
Sorry for forgetting you did that, Doug. I'm a bad friend. Sorry about that. But
no, you're fine.
So so you come to Cal and you get Coach Beaumont for all 4 years, and the difference that's going to make in a young man's life as opposed to a freshman receiver coach and then going to a JV receiver coach and then finally going to a varsity coach is you can't put a number next to, you can't put any value next to that, because it's immense what you get being with not just the X's and O's and the technique and fundamentals, but just having that relationship and have a quality man like Doug pour into a young man and be raising up the next generation. That's it's just awesome. And so we're not built. Our campus is big, but it's K through 12. We're not built to house a 6A type enrollment. I think our sweet spot and what we really have to offer is great coaching for all 4 years. And so, I don't want to have 100 freshmen on my roster. I don't want to have 100 kids on our JV team and then 100 kids on our varsity team. I think we're in a really, really great spot. That being said, that decision to have 50 to 60 guys on your roster, all of our guys are going both ways. We don't have a offensive unit and a defensive unit and a special teams unit like maybe you will see at the big 6A schools. That's also a benefit, because when college coaches, when Division I schools come through here and they see our guys, adding value on special teams and playing physical defensively and lighting up the scoreboard offensively, that brings a lot of value in those colleges' minds to what type of football player they are. And so we just feel like we're in a really sweet spot. We're going to continue to schedule the best in Kentucky and go out and play 6A schools. With 50 and 60 man rosters, is it feasible or even responsible to move up to 5A or 6A? I don't think so. At the end of the day, going against somebody that's only playing one side of the ball each and every week, all the way into the playoffs, all the way to the state championship, you worry about the wear and tear on a young man's body. But we just really like where we are. We really like the level of football that we play. We like that we have the flexibility to play some of the top schools in Kentucky, some of the top 6A schools in Kentucky, but also teams that are very talented, like Central, like Lexington Catholic, that have a history of sending kids to Division I, but are built like us. That we're going to play a Lexington Catholic, and their best players are going to play on both sides of the ball, and we think that's a good spot for us to be in.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo Hunter, I think it also just, when you have a coach like Hunter who understands the key to prepare yourself, not just from a freshman standpoint, all the way up to a senior year, that goes a long way. I think, like he said, I mean, he also has a lot of accolades, and then also being able to play D1 and playing in the pros. He understands what it's like to prepare. And I think a lot of times when people look and be like, oh, well, private school, this and that. But at the same time, what are you doing in off season to get your guys right? Like even earlier today, he's, I get my alert that, hey, we got our off season schedule ready to go. Like, hey, we're going to have, this is what we're doing on certain days. We're going to have the lifting. We're going to have, workouts, position groups of both offense and defense on certain days. And then also there's a school, we have what you call football school, where we help the kids learn the playbook inside and out. So that's stuff that I think, it looks like, oh, well, you guys need to, but no, we're preparing them. We're preparing them not only just to be a good high school kid, but any kid that, hey, wants to go play college. We're making sure that they have all the knowledge, the tools, the techniques, and the physicalness to go play college. And that's something that I think a lot of schools you typically might not see. So it looks like, okay, we need to move up. But at the end of the day, like he said, we only have 50, 60 kids. It's just the stuff that we teach the kids. And, this with the coaching staff, like you said, we got 11-time coach, defensive coordinator. We got Hunter, who's phenomenal. I can just include myself just from a background, but then also we have other key people. Coach Hilliard, who's been around 12 years, who understands offensive line. And then we have other key guys, Coach Moe, Coach Tobridge, who have been phenomenal just in teaching their skill sets and what they've learned throughout their coaching careers and playing days. So that's something I always just when I'm talking to people, because playing at Mayo where we were a larger school, things like that. Yeah, you can see a difference. They also have, like they said, sometimes 100 kids come out. You also see the other schools that have 100 kids just on freshmen. We don't have that. It's just I think where we separate ourselves is through the preparation up into the season, and then how we go about just making sure that the guys are as prepared as possible for when they touch the field. And that's something we take pride in. Our offensive playbook is not an easy offensive play. It's complex, but it's something that, our guys take full responsibility to learn it and so that they can play fast. And that's why you typically see a D1 quarterback, three D1 receivers on the field that's probably going to go college somewhere because they have that ability to learn, but at the same time execute the playbook. And you're going to continue to see that just through our preparation with the kids.
I'm going to ask this question, and whoever wants to chime in first can. Have you ever had any self-doubt as a coach?
Ooh.
All the time. All the time. I think football is constantly evolving.
Absolutely.
And high school football, I think any good high school coach will tell you your team is changing every year.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I got to Cal, we had a 6'8" left tackle. We had a 4-star 6'6" right tackle. We had Austin Collins, who's playing at the University of Louisville on the offensive line. I mean, we were huge, and we had very little skill. So we were in a lot of 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
We were a lot of 21 personnel, which is like your eye backfield, because that was what fit our personnel. And now, as Doug alluded to, we've got 3 Division I wide receivers out there. We had a Division I quarterback the last 4 years, and we're an empty, and we're spreading people out, and we're throwing the football all over the yard. And so each year is a challenge. You're not, we don't recruit, so we're not out recruiting kids that fit our scheme. We're whatever's walking the hallways, and if there is interest from the outside community and they come to us. And they end up are able to fit the Cal model and have all of those things that you need to get into a school like Cal. Whatever's in that hallway, we got to figure out and find a way to make work. And last year's scheme, last year's focus, last year's team leadership, the way that you led the team, the way that you address the team, that's constantly changing and evolving. It's changing throughout the season and it's changing each year. And so it's fun. It's really fun in a sense because personally, where my heart is from an offensive standpoint is 11 personnel, having a tight end on the field. That's what I'm comfortable with. And that's what I experienced at Louisville and what I, played mostly in the National Football League. This year, we were in a ton of empty, and I had a lot of fun learning empty and adapting our 11 personnel concepts and our 10 personnel concepts into empty and becoming more of a 10 personnel team. And so that's a lot of fun from a football nerd. You love that challenge, but within those challenges that come up each year, things changing, dynamics changing, new kids changing. There's always am I doing the right thing? Is this the right? Is this the right way to lead the football team? Is this the right system to implement with what we have in our hallways? Because I do think that coaches can cause more problems than they can help, especially when it comes to calling plays, overthinking things, and so you're constantly overthinking things and
right.
trying to and that second guessing comes into play. But at the end of the day, you trust your preparation. You trust the guys around you. I reach out to our guys. We talk at practice. We talk on the phone. I mean, each week I'm at, hey, what do you like? We script our first 10 plays on offense, and I'm reaching out to them and getting their ideas. And so collectively, right, you're stronger collectively when you've got a great group of men around you and a great coaching staff. That self-doubt that's naturally going to come is kind of it fades away because you're strong as a unit. You're strong and you trust in one another's opinion and you trust in their feedback. And if Doug comes up to me and says, hey, I think we need to do this, and and I have some doubts about that. Like I can lean on him, right? It doesn't just have to be me and all the crazy things that go on in my head. So yeah, I would say self-doubt in coaching is part of it. Always questioning whether you're doing right by the kids. But it's such a blessing to have a great group of men around you that we all just we're sharpening one another, right? As the Bible says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. We're very sharp because of the coaching staff that we have, and that helps us play confident, and helps us play fast on Friday nights.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, and I mean, absolutely. I think self-doubt does come into play because especially as a position coach, you don't have like it's not like college where hey, one of your kids go down, and you have another 4-star, 5-star coming in. A lot of times you have to be able to adapt and next man up, and that sometimes can come into play. Like I give an example. Last year Justin Ruffin, he ended up hurting his shoulder and he was out some games, and we was going into the playoffs without him. And it's like, dang, I hope somebody can, I hope we can make sure that somebody else is going to be ready.
Yeah.
And you kind of let self-doubt creep in a little bit. But, we was playing a tough Paducah Tillman team without him. But, it was another kid stepped up at the time, Riley Wentz. We had Trey Cotton really stepped up and made some huge catches along with Connor Hodge. And, we overcame that. And that's stuff that we see, all the time. But, even coming into this year, we had some injuries. And yet we had some freshmen step up. Jahad came into play, and then Connor and Justin continued to lead us as a team, while other players were down. And that's stuff that you kind of just see that, hey, it goes back to, like I said, that preparation of, if you have coaches who can help out, get the kids who are behind and get them in the mindset that, hey, you can be the next man up at any moment. I think it kind of eliminates and helps eliminate that self-doubt that comes into play. Even going into a championship week, I mean, we were like, all right, I think we're good. But they got that number one running back. And then that first quarter, it's like, whoa, like they just held the ball for the whole quarter. We didn't see the ball until the second quarter. I wouldn't say necessarily self-doubt creeped in, but it was like, wait a minute, we need to get this going. But then again, we went out there, we had a great game plan, and we scored within 3 plays of the next drive. And from there we trusted our defensive coaches, and they made a great change in the game. And because of that, we were able to take the lead and continue to strive to win the game. But that goes to there is always going to be some type of self-doubt. But at the end of the day, with the right support system, with the right just having good kids with the mindset, I think that definitely takes you to another level. And that's what we've been seeing at Cal football.
All right, I'm going to ask you one last question about Cal before we get into the couple questions I got for Louisville. Try to answer in just a few words. Aside from the sports, why would I want to send my child to Cal?
Yeah, I'll start. Few words. That's going to be tough, but I'll see what I can do. Number one, it's Christ focus. Football's not forever. I'm a walking example of that. I played at the highest level, and I worked for a living, and I've got a family at home that's dependent on me. And I didn't go to a private Christian school, but I grew up in a Christian home, and though that foundation was pivotal, and just being a good man, being a follower of Christ, and keeping the first things first. And we keep the first things first at Cal. From a football standpoint, I'll just say, all of our position coaches, but Doug Beaumont, right? If you're a young man out there in the Louisville community and you play receiver and you want quality coaching, you want not just quality coaching, but just a phenomenal man to lead your son next 4 years, where else would you send him, right? You want Doug Beaumont coaching your kid. And for all those reasons and many more, but I'm trying to keep it short, that's why you want to come to Cal.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, I mean, I think it's the same thing. Obviously, it is the Christ focus.
Messing with you.
No, but definitely it is the Christ focus. I think, being a Christian and coming in to see how you're able to kind of just evolve and put, have God first around everything. I think that showcases a lot for kids on and off the field. I mean, that's something that I've always had in my life. My mom, we grew up in the church, things like that. And like Hunter said, I didn't go to a Christian school, but with that, I was heavily involved within FCA. I mean, Coach Hibbert was my basketball coach, who's now the head over at Cal, one of the heads over at Cal. That's just shows like, hey, it was always something that was around when I was playing my sports and how it helped me. And now being at Cal, it's like helping kids as well. And just seeing the kids, I mean, you see the brotherhood. I think that's something else. Kids have the ability to kind of communicate and connect and see and then be around different types of people and different things like that. Like Hunter said, everybody's paying for the school. It's not like, hey, you get a scholarship and this kid's no, everybody has to pay. And because of that, it kind of just shows like, hey, I'm here just as much as you're here, and we're equal just as much. And it shows at Cal, and you have that ability to kind of grow that bond and network. And when we have like alumni week at Cal, you see former players come back and connecting with their brothers from different teams, different years, and that's something I see that I would like. Hey, I would want my kid to be a part of. And then, like you said, you can't beat the coaching staff. You can't beat having a Hunter Cantwell who's going to help you. We're watching kid after kid after kid be able to go. Whoever wants to go to college. If not, hey, how can we help you elsewhere? Connect you with other people. So keep it short. Yes, I just think it's just, you're building a foundation, not just for high school, but for your life.
You're talking about foundations. You two guys being former Louisville Cardinals, also having Keith Tolbridge, former Louisville player, Chris Redmond, former Louisville player, and I think you guys even have another former Cardinal, if I'm not mistaken. Do y'all? Or is it just y'all?
Coach Hilliard and also Coach Touche. Coach Hilliard, he was a starting offensive lineman. His last year was 2003, and then Coach Touche is a little bit before that. I don't want to date him too much, but yeah. So we've got two more along with the guy.
6 of you guys in totality. Seeing one of you guys own and Jeff Brom do what he's been able to do in his first year. How impressed are you guys, and how does that make y'all feel being alumni? Whoever wants to answer first.
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, I can't say enough great things about Jeff. He's been so good to Cal football. When he was at Purdue, they always rolled out the red carpet, and our staff would go up there and clinic with their staff and during spring practice time, and just whatever we needed to help to move our program forward. And if you come out and watch Cal football play, you'll see a lot of Jeff's offense on display. He's somebody that we lean on to stay relevant and to stay, on the sharp edge, on the tip of the spear, if you will. On top of that, being coached by Jeff, and I know Doug coaches by Jeff as well. Keeping track of his career and then now the success that he's having at Louisville doesn't surprise me at all. Couldn't have been happier when he took the job, because I knew that this was coming. And the Louisville football community is hungry for this success. And Jeff loves this community. He loves the University of Louisville. He loves his community. Like this is it for him. There is no stepping stone to something else. Like this is what he wants to be. And he is absolutely the right man for the job. And so not surprised at all at the success he's having, and just couldn't be prouder that he's our football coach.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, same thing with me. I wasn't surprised. I think for me, I had him as a coach, so I watched his passion. I also had a Coach English as a coach.
Okay, yeah.
So he was a D coordinator when I was there when I was in Louisville, and I watched how he was. There was times that he would even speak during the pregame. We was fired up and ready to go because of the way he talked to us. So, but then after that, just watching Brom, even from Western Kentucky, to Purdue, and I continue to watch. I always like to watch, former players or coaches that I've had in college, and just seeing how he made Purdue always just ready to go. Like when I watched him with Rondell Moore the year they played Ohio State, I was like, he's a phenomenal coach. And then continuously being ready for those big games. When he took this job, I was like, we're good. we are going to now, if anything, we're always going to be ready to go for the big games. And with that, we're probably going to win a lot of games. And it showed just within the first year, him coming out getting 10 wins so quickly. I mean, I think it's one of those things, I didn't see it not happening. Nothing against the former coach, but like Satterfield, I never knew if we were going to win. I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, some games I was like, oh, good. But other big games, I didn't really see us coming out with a win most of the time. But with Braum, I can trust Braum and know that he's going to have the team ready to go and have the players ready to go. And that's something that I wasn't surprised when he took this position. And like Hunter said, I mean, it's going to continue to happen. And, we're fortunate to have a coach that wants to be here and wants to stay here. We're not looking at, good old Bobby Petrino 1.0 that's like, oh, he might leave tomorrow. Or we're not looking at Coach Strong that might leave tomorrow, which both were great coaches, both recruited me, and I played for Strong. But with Braum, you got a coach that's probably be here as long as the fans want him to be here. He's going to be here as long as possible, and that's exciting to see over time.
All right, I got two more because, Doug, I know you got to go. So I'm going to go with Hunter first on this because it's a quarterback question. Hunter, I don't know how much of the game you watched, and maybe you've seen this play that I'm about to talk about and ask you about. That interception Jack Plummer threw on 4th down in the end zone or red zone, which ended up being in the end zone against Florida State in the ACC championship game. What's your thoughts on that? And what's your thoughts on the unnecessary stuff that gets said about Jack Plummer that's not positive? Because let's be real here, the number one job for a quarterback other than to lead your team to victory is to manage. And he managed to lead the freaking Cardinals to 10 victories. What's your thoughts on the naysayers about Jack Plummer and that interception he threw against Florida State?
Yeah, so I can't. I've seen that play. Obviously, in the pursuit of our own championship, it's hard to be locked in on everything that's going on in football. And so, I will say this. If you're the starting quarterback at the University of Louisville, and I speak from experience, it comes with the territory, right? People questioning you every step of the way. It's you're going to get too much credit when things go well, right? And you're going to get too much blame when things go bad. And if you don't like that, then you need to find another position. Quarterback's not for you. So that comes with it. And I don't know Jack well, but I've been able to speak to him a couple times and sat down with him and the rest of the team and had dinner, and just phenomenal young man, an incredible football mind. Really, really pleased with everything that's gone on with him coming into a new school, with the coaching change, his leadership this year, and both on and off the field. I think he's done a phenomenal job. People are always going to question the quarterback, and that just comes with it. One of the things that I had to learn when I was playing is that all the ins and outs that go into a specific play, right? If the receiver, and I'm not saying that this was the case, but just if the receiver cut the route at 8 yards and he was supposed to cut it at 10, and you're depending on him to do that, then that can cause problems, right?
True.
If the receiver runs the wrong route and you're expecting him to break out or break in or hook in, and he takes it vertical, that can cause problems. If you slide the protection because of a stunt that you think is coming and the offensive line doesn't see it, and now you've got to get the ball out of your hands, that can cause problems. And one of the things that was always important to me, and I know Jack is doing as well, is, hey, it's always on me, right? And all of these things that you've got to be in the room, you've got to have a headset on to know, okay, whose fault exactly was that? Within all of the things that go into a specific football play, from a defensive standpoint, offensive standpoint, even myself, and I had a fairly decent grasp of what just trying to run and different things. But even from my standpoint, being coached by him, if I don't have a headset on and I don't know what the play is called and I don't know what the adjustment was and I don't know where the breakdown was, it's hard. I will never publicly or privately say this kid, he was wrong right here, because you just can't know that. But that being said, that criticism comes with the position, And I think his body of work is excellent. You got this team to 10 wins, and really proud that he's our quarterback, and really appreciative of all that he's done to this point.
Doug, do you have anything on that? If not, I'm going to ask the final question so you can get Doug.
I think he said it perfectly. He's the quarterback. He's the expert. Like he said, I think receivers wise, sometimes we might have these biased tendencies, but I think being with quarterbacks like Hunter in college, I can also see where sometimes it comes into play like, oh, my bad, man. I know I ran the wrong route, or hey, I didn't stop on time and now you got an interception. Sorry. Like that. So I do understand where he's coming from, especially being a receiver and having that quarterback connection.
All right. Final question, guys. I want to thank you first of all for having, being a part of this and the good interview. I'm going to go with Doug first, and then Hunter, you can go last. What are you most proud of yourself with, Doug, in life?
Wow, that's a good question.
That's something that often doesn't get talked about or discussed, about moments of pridefulness for yourself. What are you most proud of within yourself?
I think for me, it's just I can go back and, even though I wasn't long in NFL or didn't have like a huge accolades, I could say that I reached the top when it comes to sports. I can also say that I do have the top accolade when it comes to high school sports, being the best in the state. But then I can also just sit here and say that, I'm a believer of Christ. And because of that, it has driven me to, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to find success. And, as long as I continue to trust God's plan, he's going to help me out. I've also worked for some of the best companies in the world. I've worked at Google, the Metas, as well as Amazons in the world. And, I think because of that, it has allowed me to see the best people, some of the most talent in the world, off, not even including sports, engineers, owners, things like that. And then also the family that I have. My wife, a beautiful wife who's always been by my side, moved around with me. And then also just, the family support that I've had throughout my time playing career sports. Both my parents, they came to all my games senior. Having that is a blessing.
That's awesome.
A lot of people don't have both their parents, one, but then also have for them to sacrifice and be able to come to every game. That's something that I will always cherish in life. And, at the end of the day, it's just, I consider and say that, I'm going to continue to be a good family man. I'm going to continue to be a Christ believer and follow God. And then at the same time, I'm also going to continue to give back. I think that's the other piece, is giving back. This coaching, everybody knows, like, it's always funny. Some people say, oh, well, Cal football coaches make six figures. If you look at it doesn't work like that. JC.
Because if that was the case, I'm not going to put this man out there like that. But if that was the case, you know who I'm getting ready to speak about. He wouldn't be refereeing all the time if he made six. I'm just
absolutely. So that's the thing. So that's where it's just, having the ability to give back to these kids and be able to just tell them the things that I've been able to accomplish in life, but then give them the tools that they need, whether it is on the field or off the field. That's something that I will also always cherish. And then hopefully someday having my own kids that I can now teach them things in life as well. That's what I look at.
Hunter?
Yeah, I think Doug hit the nail on the head. Was very blessed to play at the University of Louisville. I'm proud of that. Was very blessed to play a short time in the National Football League. I'm proud of that. Tonight, the thing I'm looking forward to most, and this kind of goes along with that, is I'm going home and my family, we're going to all hop in the car and we're going to get a Christmas tree. And there's nothing more in my life that I'm more excited about than my three kids. I've got 10, 7, and 4-year-olds. And my beautiful wife. We're going to hop in the car. We're going to get a Christmas tree. We're going to decorate. And we're going to celebrate. And just so proud of my family and how the Lord has blessed me with them. And family life is hard, and there's a lot of reasons why families don't always work out. But I'm just really proud that those my wife and my kids, they're so supportive of a dad that works a long time, and football is year round, and they sacrifice a lot. And just proud that we're where we are right now. Everybody's healthy, everybody's happy. Praise God. We're going to go and pick out a Christmas tree, and running out in front of 40,000 fans at Papa John's back in the day. That's an electric feeling. But I don't know if there's anything better than the Christmas tree shopping with your family and having everybody healthy and happy during the holidays. So I just feel very blessed with where I am, and very humbled by what the Lord has chosen to give me, and like Doug said, continue to find ways to pay it forward and point others to the true source of happiness, right? And Jesus Christ.
I'll give this a few 4 words for me. I'm most proud of never giving up on myself. That's one thing too that nobody ever talks about, is how hard it is to never give up on yourself. Fellas, I want to thank you for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. We'll be chatting again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Take care, fellas.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.